Hey everybody, Wayne here, and today's video is going to be all about rune sets. Different sizes, shapes, materials, and ways of casting them. I found with all my different rune sets that I have, some that I've made, some that I've purchased, that some of them are better used in certain ways, whether you're casting, drawing, doing layouts, or doing a daily rune pull. So I wanted to kind of go over what I've got, ways that you can also make your own, and show you some of the materials that I've made them out of and purchased them from. So let's go take a look at some of my rune sets. All right, so this is a wood set of runes that I purchased. In fact, this was my first rune purchase from the next millennium, in fact. And this is when I picked up these runes and then got a book, and that was kind of the day that my journey began, really. I was fascinated with the fact that I already knew these, that I've used the platonic solids before, and I just got really into it. Came with a bag. But I use these runes for a lot of readings, for other people, for myself, and I just like the shape of them. Again, I like the cornered edges. I like the size. The size of the rune is easy to hold a number of them in your hand. And I found that this particular set works best at the next millennium when I do readings there, because it seems like it's spent enough time there that this set really gives some great readings when I'm there. I don't know why, but that's what I'm going to go with. So these, because of the shape, these are great to use. You can use them, of course, for layouts. They're readily visible from far away if you do it on camera, but also for casting, you can easily cast them. And just like dice rolling, they don't roll necessarily off the table, and they do offer a nice visual there. So that's that right there is my first rune set. Now, I'll show you the next set here. This is a leather bag that my son-in-law made. Now this rune set was one that I made myself. This was my first set that I made, and this was basically a dowel, I think probably from a closet, and I used my chop saw and just ravaged it, chopped it up into pieces. I didn't really measure them out, kind of did by eye. And then I used then I penciled and I did the runes, and then I used a wood burner and I burned them. And then I used some, well, funny story, I used some linseed oil to protect them. And I didn't realize that if you use linseed oil and you have a bunch of rags, that will start on fire very quickly, and it did. And it was, well, luckily nothing bad happened because I was right there. But, you know, pro tip, or rookie tip, you might say. But these worked out great for me too. Now they're round, so here's the deal. Like when casting round runes, it's really difficult because they do tend to roll away, as you can see. So I would use these in my daily rune pulls. I could draw them. You might be able to lay them out. I did have, now on the side, I put little pips so I can tell where they landed. And then that might be a way that you can do drawings with. But I use these for quite a while, and I really love them as well. Okay, so this next set of runes is a rune set that I made, and I made these out of Sculpey, kind of an oven-baked clay. And these took a lot longer than I expected. Not only did I have to go ahead and shape them, I had to paint each rune with about 3 coats of paint, then do the rune itself, and then I use fingernail polish, clear fingernail polish, to give it a coat, and I did that 3 times for each rune. So multiple coats on all of these, but the end result is that they sound great, and they feel really good in the hand, and they seem to be very powerful. I really like these, and yeah, they're a nice shape and size. You can grab quite a bit in your hand. Getting 9 runes in there is not a problem. They cast and they drop really well. So I like these runes a lot. So these are just Sculpey. Now you don't have to do as many coats or use the fingernail polish, but it does help to go through the process. I always encourage people to make their own runes at least one time so that you can go through that process. Helps you bond with the runes, helps you learn them as you go. All right, let's look at another set here. All right, this set is when I started getting into laser cutting. I wanted to design my own runes and laser cut them. So I found some, this is 1/8 inch finished, I think, walnut. And so these runes right here, I actually drew out all of the runes on a piece of paper, had the Glowforge trace it, and I had to etch on these runes here, and then I painted the rune itself. But every rune, at least I drew each one, and then it was replicated. So I actually just used a Sharpie and drew this out on paper, and then it etched it right on there. I've used these several times for reading for other people. They're nice because not only can you cast them, I mean, you could drop them. They're almost a little big for that, and thin. So what I like to do is, what I would do is I would turn them over, and then to get the layout, I'd run my hand over it, and I'd pick one, and I'd set it in my layout there so that it turned over with a reverse or a not reversed forward, side there. But these work really good for those kind of pulls and layouts. I always felt that they were big enough that if I was using my hand to get some energy from them, to see which one I wanted to pull next, that I felt them really well. So I used these runes a lot for reading for others. And I still do. They're really nice too for the video readings because they're a little bit larger and the contrast is enough to be able to see on video as well. And I've made several different sizes of these, and I have this leather case that was made for me and gifted to me, and I use this as the actual intention when I say my intentions at the beginning. So I use this for the case as well. All right. All right, now here's a set that I purchased from Charlie at the Next Millennium. I think this was made, these were made locally, but this is my first set of metal runes. All right, look at this. They sound great, and whoa. And I really like the look of these. I've used these in rune castings for others as well. I've taken them traveling because they're really durable, but I do like them. They feel good in the hand, kind of like coinage. They're great for a rune pull. They do, you do need a pretty sturdy rune cloth, I think, if you're going to be casting these. They're very heavy, so casting, they don't roll much, so they just really come right down. But I do like them. So these would be great also for daily rune pulls. These would be fantastic for doing, again, how I would do it here by placing my hand over it, grabbing it, putting it into its configuration, and then turning them over. But yeah, so I do like these. And yeah, it's a different element too. Some people might be drawn more to a different element. So they might be drawn more to wood, or they might be drawn more to metal. And I use these occasionally for just different things. If I'm drawn to this particular set one day, I'll be casting with these. If I'm drawn to another one, I'll use a different one. But these, they do feel great, so it's good work here. All right, let's go on and look at another set. All right, now this is a set. I went ahead and made this box. This was an etched box that I made, a simple snap and fit. And I put in a few images on there, but this set right here, I'll pull them all out. All right, so I made this set, and I made this from a branch from a tree that was in our front yard that Lori and I planted, I think when we got married, soon after we got back. And it has now grown. It's a serviceberry tree, and we had a storm, and one of the branches came off, and we asked its permission, and she thought it would be a great idea to make runes out of one of the branches, so I did. Now I use these runes for pretty much just for us. So this would be a rune set that I would use only for Lori and I, or family, that kind of thing. And that's kind of the intention that I put into it. So when I use these, I'm always thinking of joy and love in the family, and that they can help us get the messages we need. So yeah, I do like these as well. And again, they're round, and they're not exact. Each one has its own flaws. Each one has its own character. Each one is unique, but it's all part of that same tree. So don't be afraid to find a nice sacred tree and ask its permission first and get a branch and then create runes from that. Now, here's another pro tip. When you are burning, if there are cut lines or wood grain or anything like that, it's always helpful to first off draw the rune out in pencil and then use an X-Acto blade and just score it before you go to burn it, and that will eliminate some of the jumping in the burning if you're not that experienced with a wood burner or you don't use the actual blade for the wood burner. So yeah, all right, so I think I have one more set. Let's take a look at this. All right, for the last set that I'm going to show you today, this is an idea that I had. Based on my video rune readings, I was looking for something that was a little bigger than the standard rune and even bigger than one of these. And I'll just put some out here for comparison. I'll bring back, here, I'm doing this, here we go. Here's this one too. So we're going to put these up here. Boop, boop. All right, so this rune set was much larger. I wanted to make runes that were more like tiles, rune tiles. These are extra large. Easily seen when using a zoom or a video camera. And but these are much larger. And the only thing I found with these are the same kind of set as this, just expanded a little bit. And I like kind of using these. I'm still finding a way to use them. But I found that it does work pretty nicely when you do layouts. Flipping them like this. As long as you make your intention on this is how I'm going to shuffle them. Whether you do 3 piles and put them together, and this is how I'm going to lay them out. You can also lay them out and then turn them over like a book if you want to get the forward or reverse meanings as well. But I kind of like these, though I'm still, like I said, working with them, finding a good, nice sized table to be able to use them with the camera. But yeah, they're still big. But you can, this is just an example of different. This would be great for a daily rune pull if you want to focus on a rune, doing it for meditation as well, being able to have this up there. It's a little larger visual, and also just to have in your hand when you're meditating on the rune and tracing it out. So that's always something nice to have, having it next to you when you're writing about it, journaling about it, things like that. Now, sometimes when I do rune readings, I did do an earlier video on how to make this, and I have used this in rune readings before for other people. These are rune dice, just another way of doing it. I thought, okay, well, I can put, and this includes weird as well, the blank rune, and all of my rune sets do. I incorporate those, the blank rune, because I have a different meaning for it than Pertho, and that's just the way I've chosen to use them. So, but this one, say if you're asking on a specific question, say about a certain need, so need comes up, you can take these, and then you just take one, and you would roll it, and you would get the rune. And then you'd put it back in the pile if you're going to do multiple questions or multiple runes, and take another random one and then roll it. But I have a whole video on this. You can check it out on my YouTube channel here. But this is it. Besides mini runes, really, really mini runes that I use even for a dollhouse that I've made. But this is my rune set that I currently use, and I do use all of them in different ways for different readings. Say if I'm doing a couples reading, or if I'm doing maybe a personal reading, or maybe a consultation on something else. But yep, all your rune sets right there, all my rune sets actually. All right, so there you have my collection of runes, and I would love to see some of yours as well. But I hope this gave you a little bit bigger perspective on the different types of sets, the uses for those different types of sets, sizes, shapes, and materials that runes can be made from, whether you make them or purchase them or are gifted. So until next time, this is Wayne with Runeways.